First of all, when we talk about natural gas in general, could you comment on how clean America is compared to other countries?
The United States we reduced our carbon emissions more than any other country in history between 2005 and 2020. We reduced our carbon emissions by 21.5%, rounded up to 22%. Recall that under the proposed Waxman-Markey cap-and-trade legislation, which failed in the Senate in 2010, it was to reduce our carbon emissions by 17%. Our Paris Climate Agreement was to reduce our emissions by 17%. So we reduced our carbon emissions by nearly 5 percentage points more than we had intended to under cap-and-trade or Paris. Meanwhile, of that reduction, 61% of that reduction was due to the switch from coal to natural gas. The remaining 39%, which was from wind and solar, were enabled by natural gas, since both of them, being unreliable, weather-dependent energy sources, required gas to ramp up and down. So gas has been a huge driver, but if you look at other air pollution metrics, the United States has led the world in reducing air pollution from lead, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and other air pollutants over the last half-century.
For whatever psychological reason, and it can't be a factual reason, for whatever psychological reason, a lot of people like to run down America compared to the rest of the world. So what you're telling me is, say, compared to other large economies around the world, both European economies and China, India, we are actually doing much better than these other countries?
Absolutely. The United States is leading the world in terms of environmental progress. And not only that, sir, but I would also point out that the United States invented all of the major clean energy technologies upon which we rely. That includes nuclear power plants, that includes combined cycle natural gas power plants, that includes high temperature supercritical coal plants, that includes even solar panels. The main solar panel design that China has reduced the price of in recent years, thanks in part to incarcerated Uyghur Muslim labor and the use of coal, was invented by Bell Labs, of course. So it's not just that we are the leaders on environmental progress, we're also the leaders on technological innovation of virtually every major clean energy technology.
Wow, makes you proud to be an American. Okay, it sounds like natural gas is even more of a step in the right direction. What are the barriers preventing us from increasing the supply of natural gas to the rest of the world?
I mean, the main barrier to the expansion of natural gas in the United States, both for domestic production and export, is the war on natural gas. That war on natural gas is taking place at every level of our society. President Biden is waging war on natural gas by refusing to allow expanded gas production on federal lands and offshore. His appointees at FERC are blocking the expansion of natural gas pipelines as well as LNG export terminals. We've been in this energy crisis for a year now. I was writing about the impacts in Europe a year ago. We should have been acting then to be expanding gas production to save our allies in Europe who are going to have rationing and industrial collapse this winter. It's occurring through Congress, through the war on gas in Congress. It's occurring in the courts. It's occurring at every level of our society, and it's putting our basic civilization and Western security at grave risk.
What real or psychological reasons do they have for disliking natural gas?
The war on energy, the war on cheap and reliable energy, has been going on since World War II. It's been motivated by an anti-human, anti-civilization, Malthusian mentality in the tradition of the British economist Robert Thomas Malthus. It's a very dark view of the human species. It's a view of humans as a blight on the planet. It's a view of modern Western industrial civilization as bad for the environment. It does not stem...
Okay, I think you got far enough. It's more of a psychological thing than it is a...
I mean, look, I think when you look at what's driving this, it's acting as a kind of substitute religion, complete with a new form of guilt, a new vision of apocalypse, a kind of fall from, frankly, a state of nature that never existed. This has been well studied by scholars over 30 years, that this is acting as a substitute apocalyptic religion.
I'll give you another quick question. Nuclear energy, and I have a nuclear power plant in my district. We was trying to explain to my staff, I thought maybe one of the reasons for the war on nuclear energy was a Hollywood movie around in the 1970s. But can you tell me, is there any basis in fact for this dislike of nuclear energy?
I mean, nuclear is the cleanest form of energy by far. It has the smallest environmental impact because the energy density is so high, the power densities are so high. Tiny quantities of land and material throughput are required in order to generate significant quantities of energy. And so the war on nuclear has been a war on having abundant energy to power society. It's a Malthusian pro-scarcity drive.
Okay, I kind of wondered if it was driven by a Jane Fonda movie, but okay, thank you.